The Boys, episode 4. Man, I am really liking this idea of the weekly release. I don't know if everybody's going to agree with me, but I just think it is so needed, so necessary. It just makes it so much better for me. I love it a lot. As you can tell, I'm not in the normal studio. We are in the midst of a lot going on in my life, but I watched the episode. I want to talk about it with you guys because I argued last week, or even yesterday when the video came out for episode 3, that was my favorite of the entire season. It might be this one, just because I think this was how you should do kind of a genre piece, and you take it in a genre. This episode, I really think, was all about love. You know, that's the main theme of the episode, because we're seeing all of our main characters in some form or another dealing with the grief of love or the hardships of love and figuring out themselves inside that world. And I think there's something very fascinating about that. And it does a lot of different stuff for all of our characters. So it's really just another one of those episodes that just makes you think that this show is incredible and doing some great stuff. So first off, let's start with the boys as always. Now we have Billy, who is talking to the colonel, is that what they're calling her? I can't remember, but the colonel, who is just kind of like, alright, I got a lead on this woman that might be able to help us. She was Liberty back in the day, and it's just kind of a weird thing to think about. So if you can track down somebody that knew her, then maybe we can figure some stuff out there. But she also just gives Butcher the information to, like, I found Becca, this is where she is, you can get there and help her. So it's kind of an interesting development too. So he's kind of like, oh, do I help? Do we find this Liberty lady? Do I go find Becca? He decides he's going to get Becca, and Melk is going to lead the operation to go find Liberty. He puts Melk in charge of the whole band of misfits, and everyone's kind of in a bad place right now. Camiko's out on her own thing. She can't deal with anything. Frenchie is coked up and drinking constantly, so it's just kind of Huey who's left. And you're just like, okay, that's a fun, interesting combination. But then we get some great stuff in this episode too with Huey and Anne, and their relationship is so fascinating to watch because everything they do is it just feels so right for them. They know they can't be together. They probably shouldn't be together considering who they are and what they're doing. But Anne comes along for the journey to go to, where'd they go? I can't remember where they went, where they were traveling. But they just go on this road trip kind of across country. It's Huey, it's Anne, and it's Melk. And they're just having this really interesting time just traveling across there. Because, you know, Melk doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to be in charge of this operation. He's only doing it because he needed Butcher to lead them. So now he's just kind of in this car with these two white people who are just so happy to be around each other, singing some Billy Joel. Again, Billy Joel's coming up. I think it's a big thing for Huey. I'm starting to feel that. I think, are we going to see a Billy Joel cameo? I don't imagine, but we talked about Billy Joel at least 3 of the past 4 episodes, so if something comes down the line with him, I wouldn't be surprised. I just think it's really fascinating stuff, and even Melk's just like, I'm not your babysitter and you're not on a date, so stop acting like it. We're on a mission to find Liberty, or whoever that's supposed to be, so that's what we're going to do, and just start acting like it matters. So, of course, you know, they're in the diner, and Melk have a nice little moment. They're talking about their fathers and who they were and all that stuff, and there's some nice little moments there, and this idea starts to come into play to Anne that Melk has this OCD in his head, and he doesn't really, you know, he just has some, like, obsessive compulsive things he does, you know, like stirring of the tea or his coffee, the way he uses wipes to wipe everything down because it makes it cleaner and sanitary, which I'm like, I didn't notice that either, so I think it's something really cool that they just added for that character to see how that comes into play, and just like a really nice moment with that in them there. And of course, the climactic moment for those characters is Huey and Anne are hooking up in a hotel. Like, of course they are. They've literally been trying to get there for so long, and they had to get there. That's where those characters needed to be. So it works. We kind of all expected that they'd get together again, and it was just a nice little moment because you could just tell they like each other. They know they shouldn't, but they do. You can't stop that from happening. It's just going to happen. And it was a nice resolution of that. There's some more stuff at the end. There's some more stuff with this group of people that we'll come back to towards the end. But we got a lot more bases to cover. Camiko and Frenchie have a little moment. He leans in to kiss her. She backs away and freaks out. And he kind of just falls down to a spiraling pit. And he goes to talk to his ex-flame. It's just like, I wish I didn't do that. I just wanted her to feel something that wasn't pain. So that's where Frenchie's at this episode. And Frenchie's a very interesting character to me because he's the one I think hasn't got a lot of play in the actual story right now, but now they're kind of setting it up that maybe him and Camiko could do something more down the line. We'll have to wait and see. But the stuff with Homelander in this episode, holy cow. That is incredible. Like, I was amazed. So he is, when we first meet Homelander in this episode, he's kind of flying off to this one house. When he gets inside, there's Stillwell just standing there in a seductive outfit, not really sure how to respond to that, but hey, good for you, man. It looks good. She's looking great, that Elizabeth Shue, man. Wow, that's impressive. Like, you can hold on that long. She's looking fantastic. There's some more seduction about the milk. There's definitely a weird mother-son complex thing going on there between the two of them, and you could tell. But as our conversation progresses, he's kind of just venting about how Stormfront is pissing him off and how it was his kill and now he's the face of the Seven. And then we see that the person he's talking to is not actually Stillwell, or it's not like a hologram or anything like that. It's Doppelganger. It's the guy that can turn himself into anybody. And it's just like a weird moment that you just know Homelander needed this so desperately, and he didn't want the illusion to like just give up. And just the way he just has like a momentary pause to himself where he just can't even look around to look at Doppelganger, waiting for him to change back. That says so much about his character and who he is, and it's just really fascinating and disturbing. So then we get some more stuff with the Seven, and there's just a lot of interesting moments for everybody in this episode, actually. So we get more of Black Noir. He's talking to one of our girls down in, I guess, like, what would you call that? Location-based stuff, satellite things, where he's trying to, like, I want to know where Butcher is, and he just sits down and works with her, and I think that's pretty interesting. But we also get some weird moments. First off, A-Train is kicked off the team because of his heart problem. Homelander knows, and they're looking to replace him with the guy from last season. I can't remember his name. Is it Sound Shock or something? I can't remember what his name was, but hey, that's cool. I still think we're going to see A-Train's heart explode at some point. I'm expecting that a lot. And then we get a nice moment where Homelander and Maeve are on television, and they're like, yeah, we're all about diversity here. You know, it might say 92% of the Compound V babies were Caucasian, but we got A-Train, who's black. You know, Black Noir he's nothing, so he doesn't really have a race identity. And of course we got a gay person, and it's Maeve. So there is Homelander outing Maeve and then forcing her again to be in this position where she is submissive to him and under him. So it's kind of scary stuff. But it's just Homelander, they're focusing a lot more on Homelander than I expected them to, just because, like I said this every episode, this character could easily become that stereotype Superman complex villain that's the crazy guy, but they're just like, he's trying to regain control of the Seven and continue to be the face of it. And there's something really dark and complex about that story. It's kind of terrifying, actually. I thoroughly enjoy that. And that angle is just so bizarre to me. Like, you're doing this with Homelander. I actually watched it with my family, and I actually had to pause it when I was talking to my sister, because she's like, Homelander's supposed to be like Superman, right? And it's like, kind of. It's just like the warped version of Superman, of course. And that stuff's fantastic. Like, Anthony Starr, I said it every episode, he is the best on this show. Like, he has the right movements and right expressions for every scene. Very incredible stuff. I mean, I love it. And there's a great scene of him just being pissed off through just like scrolling through memes because people like Stormfront more than him. I think it's great. So far, in terms of just like the themes of love, we got Huey and Anne, we got Homelander and Stillwell, we got Maeve and her girlfriend, Maeve and Homelander, and you kind of, I guess you could say it's kind of like a romantic relationship between Homelander and the Seven, having that kind of feeling going on there too. That could be a part of it if you look at it from that angle, which I think you probably could. But on top of that too, we got some great stuff with Butcher in this episode too. So he does find Becca. They meet up, they find each other, trying to find a spot hidden away from the camera so that she kind of has to drive away to meet him. Wow. There's something really powerful, just the way that both of them were kind of just underplaying the scene at first. Like, I thought you were dead, I'm so happy to see you, I can't believe you're here. That kind of stuff. It's like, how long have you been here? Since her son was born. Underplaying that moment, I think, just shows the kind of character that Billy is and how he's acting and who he's supposed to be. Like, you're not expecting this from him. You're like, I'm going to sweep you away and take you out of here, but he's playing it by her terms because he knows something could happen to him easily. So they're kind of trying to say, if like there's a certain time where the garbage truck can come and maybe they can get out. But as they're kind of having a conversation later, there's this idea starts to form in the head that Butcher doesn't want to take care of the kid. He doesn't want Ryan in the life. And I get it. Like, why would you want Ryan there? He is a liability waiting to happen if he turns out anything like his father. And there's just something really great about, they just have so many nice moments, Billy and Becca here, like, because they just haven't seen each other in so long, but they're not like over romantic about it. They're just kind of playing the scene, trying to control themselves in this situation. And I think that's a really cool, just interesting moment. You know, it's like, here it is. Here's what's happening with everyone. It's really cool. We are going to come back to everyone because the same theme of love also shows us that love hurts and love ends. We get another moment with Melk and Huey and Anne, and they are kind of just, they find this woman who might have a connection to Liberty. So it's this old African-American woman. They kind of try to figure out how can we talk to her. It's up to Melk to find that communication barrier where he can come in and be like, okay, so this is my father. This is like, he tried so hard to have this obsession to take down Vought, and it didn't work. Can we please come in and talk about it? Then we realize that this woman, this old woman back in the 70s, was a victim of Liberty. And suddenly this idea comes into play that her brother was beaten senselessly for no reason because Liberty is a racist, which makes you like, I wonder who that could be in the modern times if we seem to be very racist and terrifying. I thought it was going to be the Colonel, and we're going to play up that angle, but I like the angle even more that the lady thinks it's Stormfront. That is great, and it makes you think, how powerful is Stormfront and how crazy is she? Has she survived this long? What is she about? How is she around? So with Stormfront Liberty, does that mean we got the fascist crazy lady taking control of all of Vought and the Seven and being the biggest name in the world? Terrifying. It's amazing that we're doing this kind of social justice warrior character as the villain. What a flip of the script. I don't think anybody would have saw that coming. In like 2015, nobody would see we'd be here with that kind of a character. That is just so cool, man. I think that's fascinating that they're making this Stormfront this character that she's just so like, hey, let's do the right thing, but my way, or it's not the right way. I think that's just so cool. It's just so interesting for reasons that I'm just compelled by, you know? It's something very fascinating, very cool. I like that a lot. So on the drive back, everyone just kind of saw like, shit, what are we going to do? This is scary. And something I did not mention at the beginning of this, which I thought I would, I want to bring this up, this idea that there's kind of this running thing throughout the episode where it's kind of like When Harry Met Sally. And if you guys haven't seen When Harry Met Sally, there's kind of like a running bit through When Harry Met Sally that we're seeing these couples talking about how long they've been together and why they stayed together and what love is. There are these flashes of women talking to the camera, and we're not really sure what they're talking about or what they are supposed to mean. But we get it a couple times. There's like some that are like deep in love, this is what love is, or some there's like, oh, just sexual raw nature, and there's some that are just like, I hate men for this reason. Towards the end of the episode, we find out that this reason is these women are being interviewed by the therapist who's part of the collective and the Deep because they are trying to Scientology his ass up and get him married, which is just another terrifying thing to do to the Deep. You guys are just beating the shit out of the Deep, and it's just funny. Oh, it's great stuff. I really do like it. And the Deep's just like, oh, I like this feisty young girl over here. And it's like, nah, we need the cool collected girl for you, Deep. It's going to be your choice, but we're making the choice for you. So, again, love, scorn, love. That's kind of the theme of the end of this episode, too. Love is powerful, but love also hurts. Because nobody really ends up better with their love. Maeve's still kind of afraid of what Homelander could do to her. A-Train's no longer on the Seven. There's this kind of powerful things. The Deep isn't truly finding his true love. He can't really find that. Anne and Huey have a moment of like, we can't be together. No matter how much we might want to, we can't stay together. Butcher and Becca have a moment where it's like, Billy, I know you better than anyone, and I know you're going to turn that kid in if I come with you. As much as I love you, I can't risk my son's safety. So our two lead characters, Huey and Billy, they don't get the girl at the end. And neither does Homelander. He realizes he doesn't want Sitwell. He doesn't need anybody. And there's this weird moment with Doppelganger where Doppelganger turns into Homelander, and you just see the two of them like, yeah, I'm going to suck you off because you're an all-powerful man. He just kills a Doppelganger. It's kind of like killing himself. So at the end of the episode, where we're seeing everybody kind of finding love and reuniting with the people they care about the most, we end the episode on a down note where nobody is truly happy at the end. That's pretty powerful stuff, and I think that's really important for a show like this because a lot of comic book shows kind of delve into that like overdramatic tone of love. But doing it in this way where it's like everybody knows they'd be better off if they just stayed with the person that makes them happy, but none of them can do it. I think that's a pretty cool moment. I like this show is so good, and I can't speak the praise of it enough. It's just well worth the watch in every regard. So that is episode 4 of The Boys. It is a love-struck episode, and you're going to kind of leave on a negative note, but it's still pretty fun. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, Patreon, Twitter, all that good stuff. I'll catch you in the next one. Have fun, stay safe, good luck. Tsunami Studios.